yo creo que no son nada más de aquí. Sí, ya,
Hello.
Hello.
I need to buy the ticket.
Okay.
Okay.
How many in your party?
Just me.
Oh, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And then can we have your name, where you're visiting from, and how you heard about us?
Okay. 1 second.
Go ahead and head down the original staircase. The stairs in here are quite narrow, and some of them can be slippery. So y'all be conscious and courteous of the people in front of you as well as behind you, and use those handrails as much as you need to, okay? And take your time. No need to rush, okay? All right, y'all. Let's go ahead and head on down. If you can't, just hold the door for the person behind you.
Leslie, I mean, you can take it. Sí la puedes traer, nomás te la tienes que volver a regresar. I think I'll do both my hands. Hopefully I don't, pero...
Oye, conmigo.
Oliver, espera, papi. For you. Ahí viene alguien atrás.
Oh. Arriba.
I think you're not the one supposed to. That's the most yourself for 800.
지하로 내려가고 있습니다.
Cuidado con los backs, Carlos, que no haga eso.
Si lo hace otra vez, lo voy a sacar y nos vamos a ir al carro. Y aquí lo vamos a estar esperando. Ya te dije, si no haces caso, te voy a sacar, ¿eh?
Carlos, vete enfrente porque estas escaleras están resbalosas.
Vete para atrás, muchacho. Agárrame de mi suéter de atrás. Ven. Vamos a agarrar uno de aquí.
지하로 내려가고 있어요, 지금.
Como llovió.
Hey, Juan, estas están slippery, ¿ok?
Agárrate bien. No te preocupes.
No, te caes tú me tumbas a mí. Denise, de lado, mamá. Denise, de lado.
Denise, haz caso de
Tu pie, para que te quepa bien y no agarres la orilla de la escalera.
Sí.
조심.
You know, as the states go further north, they like their spring breaks have, all right. All right, now welcome to the first level of the cavern. This is where we like to go over just the majority of the history of the cave itself. So starting in 1845 was the discovery of this particular cavern by a gentleman named John Moore and his 2 sons. They'd come into the area to prospect for lead. When they came into the cavern, they did realize, well, there's no lead in here. So they did move on their merry way. Another family named the Ewell family came out in 1884, and they built a homestead on the property above us. They found large amounts of cave onyx within the cavern, so they did start mining that out. The way that they did that is they would hire local teenage boys, and they would pay them 8 cents for every pound that they brought out of the cave. At that time, there was no staircase here, so of course it wasn't the easiest thing to do. Hauling the onyx out, you would have to use a winch and pulley system to get it out of here. At that time, also, there was a bat colony residing within the cavern. So in order to improve their working conditions, they did roll old tires down here and light them on fire. That was to smoke the colony out of the cavern. So as we're going through the older portions of the cavern, you'll notice some discoloration on some of the overhangs and ceilings. That is smoke damage from those tires. At the time that they were doing mining down here, they would haul it out, and first by wagon, it was being transported to the town of Eureka Springs, where it was carved into fashionable items at that time, such as cameos and brooches, all that jazz. Then later on, when they did release the Ford Model A, they were using onyx, shipping it by train to Eureka Springs, and then carving it and polishing it into the original gearshift knobs for the Ford Model A. So that's pretty cool. Then later on in the 20s, 1927 to be exact, was when they started doing the first tours within the cavern. 1927 was when they went ahead and installed the original staircases, so those stairs are almost 100 years old, as well as these here. There were wooden walkways at the time, there was no concrete here at the time, so it was still pretty primitive. The original tours, they were only 10 cents per person, but they were a self-guided tour. So you would have to bring your own lantern with you. If you didn't have a lantern or you couldn't afford one, you would have to carry a torch. And a torch was just a stick with a burl or knot on the end that would be soaked in oil or fuel, and then of course using that to navigate through your cavern. But if your torch goes out, well, you're in a little bit of trouble. It's going to be really hard to get out. The tours did continue into the 30s, in the 20s they tried to do an artificial lighting system in here by hooking up the lighting to a car battery. It was an attempt, it didn't work out. In the 30s they were later able to go ahead and install an electric lighting system in here. As you can see, ours is still quite primitive. The tourism in the area did come to a halt in the 1940s due to World War II, but then started back up in the 50s. So. We'll talk a little bit more about the history of like what was going on in the 50s when we get a little bit further down towards our lakes. But Rand, the current owner, he's worked here since 1973 and took over ownership in 1980. So a lot of the discovery that we'll see today in the newer parts of the cave, Rand has discovered all of that. And I'll let y'all know when we get through the old portion and go into the new portion of the cave. You'll also notice there's a lack of discoloration in the newer portion of the cave. So it's more pure white calcite and formations and things like that, so we'll talk about that. But I'm sure a lot of y'all are kind of curious about the hole back here. So we've had we've had multiple major floods, but two that we'll talk about today. One of them happened in 2011, and when after the water resided, Rand had heard large amounts of water rushing behind the wall. After the water did reside, he was able to start digging through here. It's gotten about 30 feet back, but has not opened up to anything as of yet. So this is an ongoing discovery. Of course, if we come across anything, we always like to make a big announcement, you know. Hopefully everybody will know about it. The silly stethoscope right up here was from one of Rand's buddies that was helping him work on this particular space. He would listen through the walls so he could hear kind of give a general idea of where the water was coming from and going to. So before we carry on, I do want to show you a couple pieces. So one being this cave onyx right here. And then I do have another piece right up here. And then we have another one down here. This was actually a stalagmite that someone decided they were going to break off. So it exposes the calcite underneath, or what we also call cave onyx. Also, you'll notice on the top of the railings and the columns and stuff, there's some funky paint, which obviously is not natural. A gentleman in the 50s, he was a local potter. He came down and laid down some enamel paint with some linseed oil and gave it this kind of psychedelic effect. So that was just for fun. The owner does want to try to replicate that design at some point. Just a little fun thing to talk about. Does anybody have any questions right here before we head on down? No? No? Okay. Well, we're going to go down 2 more sets of stairs, so y'all take it nice and easy. We are headed down.
This is not sketchy. He did not grab my jeans.
Ese no, ese era con another one. Ese, oh, ese. Mira, Juan. esa. Esta que está ahí como quebrada.
Denise,
¿Quién puede mirar, por favor?
quiero picarle.
Oh, mira cómo se ve. Se ven como huevos, Cari.
Muy bueno.
Huevos de dinosaurio. Y este no.
A ver, Oliver.
Pónsela.
Let me see. Oh.
Este.
No, eso no.
Acá,
Ok, te cuido.
acá,
Te cuido.
acá. Aquí era Oliver.
Ya lo puse.
Oh.
A ver, ponte el teléfono en la bolsa.
Can you take a picture of this?
Tú te mareas, Cari.
Denise.
Cari, tú te mareas.
¿Por qué así?
Porque así no te resbalas.
¿Por qué hay personas allá?
Ve, hablando otras cosas. Ahorita que paremos, puedes ver arriba otra vez. Primero hay que ver un nuevo episodio.
Porque ahí está rojo. Ya me hizo la belleza para el diablo.
¿Por qué está rojo aquí?
Ahorita no puedo ver, ahorita que me pares, no puedo. Es un poco.
I just want to talk about a couple things while we're in the overflow room. That's where we're standing now. The reason why it has that name is because that's what happens within this room. We have two bottomless lakes in our cave, and when those do, the water level gets high enough, the water will flow over into this room. That happens mainly during the rainy season or the flood or something like that. The second of the two floods I was talking about was in 1982, and that was really, really drastic flood. So that one we actually received, it was 8 days straight with the rain, and we received 38 feet of water within 36 hours within this cavern. So there's only 4 feet of air in there at that time. It took 2 weeks for all that water to reside out of here back to it on low. Right over here, I just want to show y'all the Bambi cave onyx. This is one of my favorite examples. So this is the cave onyx, but you can see the coloration a little bit better since this is a fractured flowstone. The flowstone is the formation that you see above us. The flowstone here, it flows all the way down here, and this is our frozen Milky Way formation. So if y'all want to step down here and take a look at that.
¿Eso es milk?
Se le llama la piedra esa.
Porque
The Scoliotum is just a broad scientific word for a cave formation. So this particular Scoliotum is called flowstone. The reason why we call it a flowstone is because the mineral water is running down a rock face across another formation or across the floor, and it creates this really nice dramatic flowing effect, as you can see. The colorations within the flowstone are any of our formations in our cave. The white is going to be calcite. The black and gray tones are manganese, and then the orange and red tones come from the iron oxide and the red clay. And you'll notice there's quite a bit of red clay the further we go back throughout the cave. So while we're talking about the red clay, just want to let y'all know, it is on the walls, so if you don't want it on your clothes, try not to lean or touch on the walls and stuff. Again, we don't touch formations, but you will see there are areas that don't have formations, and there will be a lot of clay, so just be careful with that stuff. So feel free to take pictures of the frozen Milky Way. It just goes from all the way over here, all the way over here. You'll see a massive crack in the ceiling right above the frozen Milky Way. That is an inactive fault line, and that goes all the way back. So feel free to take pictures of the Milky Way. I do want to go over some simple cave structures I'm sure a lot of y'all are familiar with, such as stalactites and stalagmites. So the difference between the two, of course, stalactites are on the ceiling. They hold tight to the ceiling. Stalagmites might reach the ceiling. When the two come together, we get palms, so just like this, but we'll see some nicer ones the further we go back. Also draw y'all's attention to these super skinny formations on the underside. These guys are called soda straws. They are in fact a hollow structure. This ain't mineral water. As it travels through the center of the soda straw, it'll calcify on the tip, and then calcify all the way through the soda straw, which redirects that mineral water to the outside of the structure. Over time that builds up and we get stalactites. So that's how those start out. All right, any questions for right now? Right here? Okay.
I guess. How long do you think like one of those little pigs will take to grow?
So that's a good question. So as far as the speed of formation, it depends on the location, how much mineral water is dripping at that time. So for instance, a soda straw may take 150 years to grow 3/4 of an inch.
Wow.
Whereas another soda straw, it can only take it about 60 years to grow 3/4 of an inch. And that just, it's the variation, just depending on how much water is dripping in that specific area. Some formations come to a complete halt if there's no longer any mineral water running. So, yeah, no specific amount of time.
Yeah, but it's
Those are the soda straws. These little thin guys, those are the soda straws.
yeah.
So we have a bunch of them here and all throughout the campus. But yeah, feel free to take photos or anything of the Milky Way. We'll head on a little bit further down.
Ese quisiera yo tocarlo, a ver cómo se siente.
Okay, we're gonna stop right here real quick and let everybody gather back in. So how many of y'all have been in the cave of Cavern before? One? Just one? Oh, okay. Well, when you go into cave and caverns, you'll notice that some of the formations have really wacky names. The reason is like people come through the cave, the owners come through, they see formations. You can let your mind run wild and you can really see anything in a formation. It's just how broad your imagination is, I guess. So this structure right here is really no different. We call it our operating table. It's just a ledge that protrudes from the wall right here. And the reason why we call it the operating table is we have a couple formations that kind of look like the human anatomy. So this one here is our brain. Not all of ours are this big, but you are more than welcome to touch this structure. So this is the one within the cave where you are allowed to touch. You can reach over the railing or through the railing. We learned it right here. See that? You can reach through there. There you go. We also have a small foot right here to the behind this room. We have the ballast here and then a top right there. So when y'all walk by, please feel free to touch the brain. Before we keep moving, I know y'all have seen this rope here. This rope leads to a room called the gypsum room. The owner before Rand, Martin Mueller, he's the one that discovered this room. And you're flashing this, thank you. Sorry, if I blind at all, please let me know. He found the gypsum room, and there is gypsum in there. He only worked for about a day and a half trying to kind of open this space up. He left his hammer and his chisel up there intentionally. He didn't intend on going back to work. That night when he went home, he went to bed and he had a bunch of horrible nightmares telling him if he continued to work in the space that something bad was going to happen. So he did vow to never go back in the room. So when Rand went up there, he did discover his hammer and chisel up there. So we just like to talk about that a little bit. As you can see, it's really not the easiest chamber to access. So we're definitely not going up there today. Sorry. As we head through, please just watch your head on each side. These little ledges protruded. But again, touch that brain all you want.
¿Dónde están? Dios, María. ¿Qué entendiste lo que le dijeron aquí al Señor?
¿Está así?
regresamos por los igual.
Everybody just watching us there.
Fuera,
Hey, welcome everybody to our South Lake. This is one of two bottomless lakes within our cavern. The reason why we call it a bottomless lake is because, well, we haven't reached the bottom. A lot of people would say, well, why don't you just take a weight on a string and drop it down there and get a measurement? Well, unfortunately, in caves it doesn't work that way. Even in lakes it doesn't work that way. So as water levels fluctuate over decades, even centuries, you get the erosion. So you get these little ledges that protrude out from the walls. Those do overlap. And the crevices between them can be very narrow. So the reason why we can't reach the bottom is we do not have equipment that is compact enough, but also has the capacity of air we would need to be able to explore those areas. So that is one of the reasons.
How far does it go down that y'all know of?
That we know of is 73 feet right now. But of course it goes quite a bit lower than that, and hopefully one day.
Anybody tried to scuba dive?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So we have divers that do come in here, and they found all kinds of things in here. So
I bet.
as far as loose items, employees' name tags, eyeglasses, sunglasses on the top of the hat, that's number one. Cell phones, keys, pretty much anything that you can think of that would be a loose item, it's probably fallen in there. A lot of things recovered from older days of tourism, like cameras from the 50s and 60s. We've had a couple employees that do like to magnet fish in here from time to time. So recently they pulled out some old Winchester rounds that were in the water.
Oh.
So that's kind of cool. One of my favorite things to talk about, it's fascinating. I don't want to say it's cool, but it's fascinating. What I was saying earlier about the history from the 50s, this was a major thing that had happened. The owner in the 50s thought it would add to the tourism to go ahead and add trout to the lake within the cave. But you can only imagine, this is not a trout's native environment, right? So what we had was a population of blind cavefish. The blind cavefish are in fact blind. They are born without eyesight. They have no need for it because they've evolved in total darkness. So they have no eyesight, but they were residing in this lake. They were feeding off of micro snails, which we still have in here, we just can't see them from here. So with the trout introduction did deplete our blind cavefish population. The owners at the time didn't realize that the trout were feeding on the blind cavefish. I don't know why they didn't realize that. They also didn't realize that the trout were not repopulating on their own, so they were just adding trout every 5 to 7 years. You would think they would have caught on at that point, but no, they didn't. If y'all know, I'm sure some of y'all know about trout and stuff, that they do need swift-moving water. They do need a gravel bottom in order to reproduce, and we cannot offer that in this environment. It's very silty. So as soon as you touch that water, it's just silt everywhere. You can't see in front of your face. If you're, like, say, if you're diving, for instance. So yeah, the trout did eat up our blind cavefish population. We stopped restocking it with trout about 15 to 20 years ago. One of the last few trout that was in here was brought to a university and dissected, and it was found that they were only feeding off of the cat food that they were being fed by the employees by that time.
No fish?
No more fish. No fish.
Okay.
No. Hopefully one day we can get blind cavefish back in there, but it would take probably 15 to 20 years for them to even start to repopulate. It is a very unfortunate story, but it is an interesting part of the cave history, so we like to share it.
Right.
You'll notice this crevice between here, this little passage here connects to the overflow room. So when these lakes do get up to a certain level, that water will flow into the room we were just in. I'm going to show you one more thing that's in the South Lake, but before we move on, does anybody have any questions?
If it's raining, do you think this going to be filled up more higher?
Yeah, so if we had a really, really heavy rain, maybe for a few days, you would see a change in the water level here. The common misconception is that when, say for instance, we have a ridge right behind our cavern, a lot of people think that when it rains on top of a ledge or a hill that all that water runs downhill, right? That's not true. We have a karst, what we call karst level of bedrock. It's like the Swiss cheese of bedrock. That karst bedrock can actually redirect water in any direction. So it can run it vertically, laterally, any direction. So what we assume water is going to run downhill, hits that karst level of bedrock, and it can actually shoot laterally to another property, but it goes everywhere.
It come up underground maybe?
Yeah, so it all
Oh,
goes
okay.
underground, but it goes in different directions. So it's really hard to tell where something that is released on the surface, where it's going underground. So this is something I like to draw attention to, not on every tour, but it's good for just awareness in general. On your own private property, say if you have a septic leak or you're dumping diesel oil or anything on your own property, there is a high chance that it is actually flowing onto your neighbor's property, and vice versa. Things that they're doing on your property can affect their property can affect your property. So as far as contaminants from the surface, a lot of people would assume it's going to run through all this bedrock and it's going to be purified water, right? A lot of us have grown up being taught that our well water is the best water, right? While it is full of minerals that are good for us, it does not filter out every contaminant. So you have contaminants in there, natural occurring, such as radon and uranium, things like that are found naturally within the soil, but also microplastics. So that's not being filtered out by the bedrock, and it will be in your well water. So it's just something to think about, that not always is our reservoir, our aquifers, our cave water, or even our well water 100% pure.
Able to drink this water?
So you could, like a lot of people go to Eureka Springs and drink out of the spring taps there. I don't recommend it though.
Okay.
If you know anything about Eureka Springs history.
No.
Okay, so the tourism in Eureka Springs, well really the town it boomed because a scam artist came in and he was supposedly a doctor. He was not a doctor, but he came in and started saying that all the spring water in Eureka Springs would cure what ails you. So it could be anything from, just gastro issues. It could be depression, but the main part of it was they were saying it could cure cancer. Which water can't cure cancer, we all know that, right?
Okay.
But that was what people would literally move here for. And that's how Eureka Springs really boomed.
Okay.
We don't drink the spring water here, locals don't, but tourists like to come in, try to fill up their water bottles and stuff like that. The water lines and the taps, those have been there for over 100 years, so you can only imagine what the plumbing looks like underground.
Okay.
So. But yeah, I mean, if you were needing to survive, you could definitely drink the water.
So if it's rainy, you fill up the water, is that clear or muddy?
It would probably be muddy at first,
Muddy,
and then like
Then clear
the
down.
stuff would settle to the bottom after a while.
Okay.
But
Thank
yeah,
you.
definitely with that amount of water, it would be muddy in here.
Thank you.
Also, I know a lot of people are curious about the water temp. It stays about 53 degrees year round. So you can't stay in it too terribly long, but you can. You can swim in there for probably about 5-10 minutes and then you want to get out.
Too cold.
Yes. One more fun fact, the railings that you see sticking out of the ground right here, these are original trolley rails from Eureka Springs as well. So when they removed their trolley system, some guy gathered them all up and was using them on helping to develop the cave a little bit. All right. We're going to head down just a little bit further. I'll show you something else inside the lake. Yes, darling?
What is the rule?
Are you pointing out that goofy horse over there?
Yeah.
I know, all the kiddos are like, that's a horse. That's not just any horse. The guy to the left, the green one, that's Gumby, and then his best friend Pokey. It was a TV show that was on for some of us children, well, us adults when we were children. It was a TV show like the cartoon, but it was made out of clay. We call it claymation, stop motion. Pretty cool though, it was a great show, sorry I had to miss it.
There was a riding in this boat up here?
Yeah, so the boat, what we use is we lower it down into the water, so we need to do maintenance, and the easiest way to access it is through the lake.
Oh,
So
okay.
we'll lower it in there and use it.
Okay. Thank
If
you.
you'll see the ammo cans, like what's behind y'all, those are just our first aid kits. Luckily, we never have to use them, but I do get asked about them a lot.
Right.
I usually will joke that there's dynamite in there, and then people stare at me like I'm crazy, and I have to make sure that that's a joke. All right, y'all head out this way.
Okay.
No, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, thank you.
As y'all come through, please get down these beautiful flows down, but also watch your head right here.
They gonna find your phone in there?
We go swimming? It looks kind of scary though.
Cannonball.
Alright, y'all squeeze on in. I just want to show y'all something that's in our lake. It's been here for a very, very, very long time. Just watch y'all's head there. Sorry, we have to squish in just a little bit. Alright, nice job, y'all. So I'm not going to keep you here too terribly long, but I do want to point out this raft down here. This raft has been here since 1911. It was used during the time of mining. The gentleman that had actually built this raft came back decades later when Rand was the owner. He came through and to take a tour, and he talked to Rand that he had worked in here during the time of mining and that he had built a boat and he had left here. So when Rand came through, brought him on the tour, he shone his flashlight down on the raft, and the gentleman did confirm that this was in fact the raft that he had built. So what we thought were originally 2 whiskey barrels turned out to be 3 metal drums.
Looks like 4.
2 above here and then 1 down below the water. And there's a couple pieces of lumber that are still left. So it hasn't degraded the way that we thought it would. That is more than likely due to the calcification, so the calcium in the water. But it is there, and it's just a fun piece of history. It's been there for a long time. So just wanted to point that out. Before we head on, I just want to let y'all know we do have an overhang right here at the top of the stairs. So watch your head on that, and also a lump of concrete on the floor, so just don't trip over that. Okay. As we go through, there's going to be a rock on your left-hand side. As it gets narrow, you will need to lean on that rock. So that's called hugging rock. It's going to be on your left after you get out of this little stairway. Hey, don't. Y'all just come on up. And watch it. Hopefully everybody's been able to get through there. That should be fine. Carlos, enseñales que está bien pegadito. Por ahí. Be careful, Obi. Cuando pases ahí. Piensa skinny. Piensa. Eso es lo que yo pensé. Piensa delgadito, negro. Respira. formation over here we like to call our ghost formation. It's another flow stone. It's just got some nice drapery on it. Kind of looks like a sheet ghost from like a cartoon or something. The owner and a couple of the employees have heard noises coming from behind here, such as like spooky moaning noises, things like that. The space behind it, we do have to take into consideration, does connect to the south lake. So if the water level was up, more than likely what he heard was the rushing of water behind there. But that's really whatever you want to believe. Another formation we have on this side.
It looks like water.
Looks like water. Probably. I think you're right. He's very logical. Right over here we have a skeleton formation. It's another flow stone. You can see his bony legs and his pelvis and all that. His head is missing. It's actually over there by the bench. So. But y'all check that out. And then also we have Coffin Rock, which is right over here. It is a piece of bedrock that you can see fractured and fell into place, and it is in the shape of a coffin. On the left-hand side of Coffin Rock, there is a small tunnel. It's not big enough for really anybody to get through. I mean, some of us kids can probably fit, but not the most ideal space to bring tourists. So where we're standing is actually the end of the old part of the cave. So this is where tours would stop. Up until the later 90s, so about 96. So Rand and his crew worked for several years trying to get around Coffin Rock. It didn't work out. They did end up moving their attention to the right side of our skeleton flow stone. And they worked on that. They started out with a quarter stick of dynamite and blasted out about 10 feet. They did do a second blast and opened up over 1,000 feet worth of passage back there. So we will head through there from the ghost room into our North Lake passage, and then we'll be able to see North Lake. So before we do that, does anybody want to hear about maybe ghosts or anything like that?
No.
No? Okay. No?
Yes.
I do.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, we do.
I
Okay, I
do.
need votes. Everybody says no?
I do.
I don't want.
One?
Yeah.
Okay, I think you've been outnumbered.
I do.
Sorry. Oh, two. I think y'all are still outnumbered, but y'all can just cover your ears real quick. So we've had a couple psychics come in, and they have experienced the two entities. One being a young boy named Sam, who is supposed to be very friendly, and then another one named Jacob. Jacob is a little bit more on the malevolent side, not as nice as Sam, of course. What I think about when I hear stuff like that is I can imagine, people have asked me, have there ever been reported deaths within the cave? No, not that we know of, there's nothing been reported. But you have to imagine in the time of mining with such primitive equipment and then being such young boys, something is bound to have happened, I would think, even if it was an injury of some sort, but I wouldn't doubt if there was some sort of fatality at some point, just never reported. But no.
Do you think somebody died on it?
Possibly, yeah,
Possibly.
that's what I'm saying. It's from the mining, it being such strenuous work, and
Uh-huh.
they're so young, and it's just so primitive. And I mean, you're literally having to scale mud, to
Right.
get in and out of here. So I'm sure something's happened.
Somebody.
But
Okay.
we also have seen a Victorian lady. She wears a pink Victorian dress, and she's been seen here pointing towards the back end of the cave. But she tends to keep most of her time, she spends her time in the house next door. It was our old visitor center, and there's an apartment attached to it. Currently, that is our break room. So employees go over there to take their lunch breaks. I know almost every time I go in there, sit down by myself, a door creaks like it's opening or closing, but there's no other doors or windows open, there's nobody in
Maybe.
there, so there's no airflow,
Maybe her spirit.
Yeah, so they say when she's around, you smell fresh baked cookies.
Oh.
And I haven't gotten any cookies yet, so I don't know who it is. But any questions in the ghost room? I know, it's nothing super scary. Sorry, y'all. Sorry about letting y'all down. All right, I'm going to go right ahead of you, sweetheart. So when we come through this tunnel, y'all just watch your head.
Okay.
I eat this stuff for breakfast.
What?
Okay, gracias.
Igual que Marisol, igual que
No, es que me hizo una pregunta.
los pies skinny. Agáchense.
Hey, you can't say that.
Agáchense. Ready.
Wow. Aquí no hay para agarrarse, guys.
Ten cuidado. Ey. Aquí tengan cuidado.
Carlos nos puso para una training course. All right. I'll talk a little bit about this, and then I'm going to get out of the way. That way y'all can all come up here and take a good look, get pictures or video. But I'll let them catch up real quick.
You ever been past here?
I have yet to go back here. So I'm waiting on the opportunity.
Yeah.
What we used to do here is we hosted wild tours.
Like Splunking, kinda.
Yeah, so like last season we went ahead and stopped doing it. What in the world?
That looks like something that can go straight here.
Oh, it's my breath. Yeah, I was gonna say, if you have a flashlight or something, you'll see your breath in here. A little bit, yeah, it's pretty dark back there. All right, we still waiting on a few people. Yeah, so the tunnel, before the tunnel we came through, all the way back there is all new discovery that was discovered in 1996. All right, y'all, let's get on down here and we'll talk about our North Lake. Everybody feeling okay still?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Y'all be careful on that wall behind you. Don't let your clothes touch it, okay? All right, y'all. So we just went through North Lake Passage, and now we are at North Lake. This is the second of our two bottomless lakes. Again, we have yet to reach a bottom down here, so it is bottomless. Rand and his buddies discovered this area from what I was saying, that front part of the tunnel, all the way back to the back side of the cavern, which still stretches beyond that. But all this is his discovery. A lot of people asked me about the wooden walkway. We did host wild tours, which we are no longer doing, unfortunately. The wild tour consisted of walking along this wooden plank, as well as many other small, thinner ledges, smaller than this. There was no rappelling gear, no tie-offs, nothing like that, so it was pretty much climbing and scaling, and crawling. So you'd be given a hard hat, headlamp, some gloves, and some knee pads, and that was it. The reason why we went ahead and stopped doing it is because people were totally overestimating their ability to do such a strenuous tour. It's called a wild tour for a reason, you know, but people get halfway through, and it's a 2-hour tour, so they get halfway through and then want to stop and go back, and that's not ideal. Like, tour guides can't stop what they're doing and take somebody all the way back, so yeah, people would just have to sit there and wait, and then at that point they've spent their money, but they're not getting their money's worth. And that's not on us, I mean, that's kind of on them. So we do what we can. So we did stop doing that, but when Rand's crew came through here for the first time, like doing the initial discovery and just seeing what they had exposed, they came across a room that had just caught them off guard because it was so beautiful. So their only reaction was, oh my gosh, right? So that's how we got the OMG room. That's what we call the OMG room. Because of their reaction.
Wow.
So you'll notice on the far left-hand side, and in just a second, I'm going to get out of the way and let you all get up here and take pictures. So, real quick, I do want to point out the large soda straw on the left-hand side. It's illuminated.
You wanna look?
It's a little bit red. That is the largest freestanding soda straw in the Ozarks. Had the top not broken off, it would be over 9 feet tall right now, but unfortunately it did fracture.
So
Also-
those are called solo straws?
Yes, they're gonna be the very skinny ones like this, but this one here is significantly taller. It had made a column, but the top broke, so it's actually being held from just the bottom. So yeah, it's freestanding.
Open all this up.
Very carefully. Yes.
Oh.
It's dynamite, it can be digging, I mean, there's all different techniques to get through this stuff, so.
No
Blasting,
equipment, pretty much just blasting and.
yeah, but we have to take into consideration every time we blast something in the cave, how it can affect the structures around it, you know?
Yeah.
We don't wanna ruin all that.
No.
Or have it come down on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, stalactites coming down from the ceiling aren't gonna feel good.
No.
I also want to draw your attention to these beautiful flow stones. They have some really nice drapery on the underside, so you'll see those when you come up here. Also, these stalactites from the ceiling have met the stalagmite on the bottom back there in the OMG room and just made this really beautiful column. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and get out of the way, and if y'all want to take family photos, couple photos, solo photos, or just want to take a good look, come on up. I'm going to get out of the way.
I can get out too.
I'm good.
The
First one.
Because they're made up of different minerals. So like this here is pure dolomite. It's a chalky mineral, whereas calcite, the minerals that it have are more opaque and have a little bit of clarity and translucence, but also the crystal structures are bigger cubic structures, where these are not. So this is more of a cavern. The cave onyx, absolutely. But dolomite does have medicinal purpose, so they use this material to make antacids, so like Thomas and things like that.
Yeah.
Just a lot of mud.
No signal.
Oh yeah, no, phones don't work down here.
No.
Oh my gosh. How am I supposed to check Facebook? No, I'm just kidding.
I promise
I don't
you,
even have
okay.
Facebook. I'm like, I don't even have Facebook.
That's good. Y'all are doing better than most of us then.
Is any of these ever fold? Like, wire or whatever?
With Rand, the owner was up in the OMG room and he had a 3-foot tall soda straw fall from the ceiling, but he was also in that space. Soda straws are really brittle.
So they just kind of crush.
Yeah, so it's
You
probably
said they were
hollow. Yeah, more than likely.
Oh, ese también.
That one's cool.
Oh, 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 it's cute.
Todo eso, uno limpiándolo,
Oh,
¿vale? Queda bien bonito ese pido.
Is this the same place we went?
Fíjate, la luz. Obi, no corras, despacito.
Ese se ve en blanco.
Sometimes they'll use aluminum foil to direct light upward or something. Okay, we got everybody in?
Yeah.
Okay, how's everybody feeling right now? Y'all still okay?
Yeah.
Okay, just like to check, so when y'all ready, we'll head by Honey Rock. Okay, come inside, right inside now. Hold the hand. And y'all just watch your heads up here, please. You're behind me and you're
Come on, man.
Man, y'all are such a wonderful group. Y'all are making my job easy. Thank you for that. All right, you guys, just watch your head here as well, okay?
Okay. We all done?
What's that?
We still gotta go more?
Yeah, we
Okay.
still got some more time.
Okay.
We're gonna go check out the Buddha room.
Uh-huh.
Come on, Lincoln.
All right, you guys, we're about to keep going. Just want everybody to catch up.
Yep. Yeah.
Lincoln. No, I'm trying to look at stuff and it keeps going ahead.
We're passing the break. Okay.
This is so cool.
I'm glad you like it. I do too. I love being
This
down
is
here.
awesome.
Give us some light here.
Okay.
All right, y'all. We're gonna head this way. We're not gonna go up the stairs, so just follow this way. Watch your head here as you're coming up. And you can see all the broken pieces here. A lot of that's from the blasting and stuff.
Did they crawl off in there on their wild adventures?
No. All right, so y'all notice the red light in this tunnel?
Uh-huh.
It's illuminated. So
What? There ain't no telling what he's saying. You just ignore him.
when you go through, when we get into Buddha room, you'll be able to see this red light. So it's just kind of showing how this tunnel connects to that chamber.
Let her talk.
What's up? I thought she said something on the intercom. Okay, hearing things. We're gonna head up these few sets of stairs and then we're gonna stop for just a moment, okay?
You go ahead. You go ahead.
Yeah, I heard it. I think it's the intercom and they're putting little jokes on this.
I know. Come on. Nuestras vacaciones.
The best boy. You're the fastest? I bet you are pretty fast.
Are we going in that?
We will in just a moment. I just like to get everybody up here first.
Cool, thank you.
Everybody still feeling okay?
Yes.
All right, everybody, right now, we'd just like to stop all of our tours right here at this level. The reason being is we're about to go into the Buddha room. It's this little tunnel here. It's not long at all. It's only about 6 feet long, and you can stand up immediately after. There are 2 staircases going down into Buddha room, and the stairs are a little narrow. So we like to ask everybody, how are you feeling? Are you tired? If your legs hurt, what we do is we can ask you to stay right up here if you want to. The leg over here, closer to the gate, is dry. So if you're tired and you just want to relax, you don't care to see Buddha room, you're more than welcome to stay up here and wait for us to come back. We do ask that you wait for us though. It'll only be 10 minutes. But if everybody wants to go, we'll go ahead and head on down. All right, cool. I'll just get right up here and then we'll go back.
Leave the mud alone, dude.
¿Ya te casaste?
Es que Emma, yo pensé que usted el que no le gustaba pasear.
Sí.
Que ella vaya.
You go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Oye, también se la fácil, vamos.
Esposo mío, espérame.
Está liso, ¿eh?
It's more tighter, no air.
Exactly.
Mira, Oliver,
I just need more wide on the bottom.
ya me cambió.
Ya te duele la rodilla.
Sí, pues no se aventurera.
Y se va haciendo más chiquito. Nomás digo.
Stop, Lincoln.
Está bien
Mucho más, mucho más,
Sí, no está mal, es una escalera.
mucho más.
Mucho más.
Muy chiquita.
Muy chiquito.
Sí, muy chiquita aquí.
Sí.
Uy.
Muy skinny.
Everybody's doing awesome. I see some.
Giovanni va adelante, justo. Mami.
Just scoot in a little bit, we can, just to get everybody in a comfortable spot. I know this room is really small.
We're going to that way?
No. Just talk about it in here and then we'll go back up.
Okay.
Sí.
Can I go back?
You can walk up the steps right here.
This is
here.
me. Okay.
You can step up there if you want to get a video. Alright. So where we're staying right now is what we call the Buddha room. There was a structure in here that resembled Buddha. Unfortunately, it's no longer with us. So that's very sad, but he still has the Zen-like atmosphere up here. One of the main structures we like to point out is kind of a jewel in our crown. It's going to be this little Santa Claus formation. So as you can see his little button nose right there, he's got a little beard as well as a hat. His arms are resting on the arms of his chair, and then he has some knobby knees right here. So he's just relaxing. This is where he spends his off season. So he enjoys it, getting dripped on every day. You'll see up behind the Santa Claus statue, I said statue, it's a formation. Behind the Santa Claus formation is some cave bacon or cave ribbons. There's some nice examples all up the ceiling, and we've got this big one here, unfortunately did fracture, but it's still growing. You got these little ones right here on this side, so feel free to check those out. What we can do is rotate around if people want to take a look at the Santa Claus formation. Also, the formation right behind you guys is our ET's finger. So as you can see, it's a very long stalagmite. It's kind of gray, it's wrinkly, and it's pointing towards home. So that's why we call it ET's finger. We do need to get a red LED right behind it, so it'll glow. But we also have a really nice little soda straw column here. It's just nice and up close so people can get a good close look at one of them. And then the area in front of the stairs over here. That's where our Buddha formation was. And that's how Buddha room got its name, was from that formation. Unfortunately, it's gone, but that beautiful area is still left, so it's just a nice photo with some dramatic lighting, so it's just nice. You can take a photo from the steps or when we go up the stairs. But we do have another tour coming, so we will have to head back up soon. But I would like to make sure you all get your photos and stuff. You can take your tongue out. I would say you could give him a gesture, but there's already a formation that does that, and he's right over here. Quite a really structure.
Con el diente.
Nice, van a creer.
Entra en mi lámpara.
There you go.
Vamos a ver qué. No te acerques mucho.
He looks so happy. All right. Es que besties for life. Did anybody want to get a picture over here before I shut the light off?
Can I take a picture?
On the next one. No.
A la mamá le quería dar un beso de Vivi.
Okay.
All right. So we're gonna go ahead and head back up if everybody's got their shots. Okay.
Échale en la cabeza a ver si se quita.
Ah, muy bien.
All right, we got one last photo back there.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
So, have you ever found anything before like that?
The only minerals that we found in here are gypsum, dolomite, calcite, things of that nature. I'm sure there's.
Let's go.
Awesome job, everybody. We're just gonna wait for everybody to catch up.
¿Qué es esto? ¿Canelo?
Ese cemento, nomás que está sucio en ciertas partes.
The wall might be a little damp when I'll sit down. Let y'all know. Let's see, I got 2, 4, 6. We're still waiting for you. Maybe the phone is coming.
Vamos a comer.
Y le dicen que
No lo hubieras hecho en la montaña.
Sí. Where is the stuff? We're gonna go.
Mi rodilla, ¿qué quieres?
Alright, now we're gonna go back up the original stairs we came down. On the way out, I'm going to point the bats out to you. And I'll wait for everyone to get up here because this is really important. So with the bats, like I said, they're a tricolored bat. We don't have a full colony, but we have anywhere from usually 4 to 10 of them that reside within the cave. There are 3 out right now that we've seen today, so just, you can admire them, you can adore them, just please don't try to pet them or touch them. They are on the brink of endangerment, so we just, want to keep them in here and happy. So, no flash photography, don't shine your flashlight on them. But you can take a picture of them if you want, to make sure that flashes off, okay?
So how do they get out?
So they reside right in the top of the cave where we came down, and they just go in and out of the bars on the cave. They're actually quite small. So we show them on the way out because some people are scared of bats. The last thing you want to scare them off the tour.
You can go if you want.
Oh, thank you.
They're up there.
Fíjate que nunca pensé que fuera a subir.
One is right here under the stairs. You'll see them above my flashlight there. They're super tiny. So if you need to point them out to the person behind you.
I would point it out to you, to the person behind me if I knew where it was. But point it out to the person behind me.
Ahorita te los enseño, Oliver, porque están muy chiquititos. Que ahí está uno. ¿Ese que está lleno es?
I see it. You see? They're right, the black things right there.
¿No es antes? Que no les pueden echar flash, ¿no? No les pueden echar flash, dice.
Hey guys, there's a bat right here on the right hand side when you're coming out. It's very close. It's very close, so please don't get too close to him. And don't touch him, okay? He's right here.
Ahí está, irá a salir.
Oh, so cool.
Ay, ¿qué? Where is it at? Right here. Aquí. Ahí está, mira. Sí. Ay, no.
Look at that, ni se ve todo negro.
No está negro, no está como café, míralo.
Acá está, mira.
¿Ya lo viste, Oliver?
Sí.
You need to go pee?
Oh, there's one right there too.
Where?
Mom, there's one up there.
The little face on there. ¿Viste? Look at that. So tiny.
Mom, there's one up here too. Where? There's two. There's one up there.
Somos there.
Right there. And that
Mira,
one.
se siente diferente el aire.
Little bat.
If I get attacked by a little tiny bat, I'll fall down these concrete steps. Where's he at?
He's right here.
There's one above his head.
Great.